watching Mallrats, a Star Wars podcast. Thank you for listening.
All right, welcome back to the Mallrats podcast.
Hi.
Okay.
Sorry, my mic wasn't near me, ready to go. I missed the countdown.
What are we doing today?
Today we are doing part 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
We're almost done.
The show's almost done. Can you realistically predict where we're going and what the resolution of this 6-parter is? I don't
think we've seen anything that leads to a bigger plot yet.
No. I didn't think it would be a rescue of Leia from the Inquisitorious, whatever he called it, fortress. Poor Wade. Rest in peace, you know.
I had no emotions.
I had none either. Other than that Reva can throw whatever box, she can force throw it and hurl it faster than a speeder can fly away, and it can catch it.
It wasn't that fast, though.
Well, they're air speeders. You know, those were the same, the speeders that they used to take down the AT-AT walkers. You know what I mean? And they were struggling to get them acclimated to the cold. Well, then I'll have to go out on a tauntaun then.
Don't say AT-AT.
I don't like saying AT-AT. I think it's more AT-AT, but that's just the way things are. You know, certain generations want to call it that. Ugh. I know. But yeah, so I don't quite know where this is going to go either. I am kind of glad. Are you surprised? I guess we may have talked about this a bit with the whole Leia thing. We thought this would be, if anything, he was stuck on Tatooine with a baby Luke looking after. I'm really pleased that they went in a different direction. What do you think?
We don't want more Tatooine. We've had it like every movie, and we don't need more of it.
And we just got it a ton with Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. Boba had been earlier and Mando was later. Maybe different, but I do know that there are some great stories to be had there. Especially with the novelization Kenobi, which is now, not canon. It's back into the legendary type of storytelling. But I did enjoy that story, but a lot of what you see him doing, minus, rescuing kids, him being very hesitant to act out, to hide his stuff, all of that is stuff from the novels. And so I was pretty excited to see that on Tatooine. But seeing it elsewhere, I'm glad we saw Dayu. This water world seems pretty cool. You know what I mean? So I like the direction it's going, but I don't know where we're headed. In 2 episodes, and, episode 5 just came out recently. 6 is coming out this week. I don't know how they're going to wrap it up. And
maybe they won't.
Well,
just leave it open for season 2.
This has been I think the premiere was like the highest watched Disney Plus show ever. So something so successful, I don't think they're going to leave this a limited series. Just like Boba Fett's a limited series. It wasn't set up to be recurring seasons. I
don't think they're going to be able to stretch out their 9 years they have that much into an actual show.
No, we could have multiple seasons of this if the story is interesting.
I don't know.
I guess all of this is stuff that I hadn't even thought of, and so leave it to those Disney Plus Star Wars creatives. I think they're doing a really smashing job with this again.
Yeah.
So, good. So, part 4. Anything you want to get off your chest right away? You weren't too thrilled with the last part. The Vader Obi-Wan conflict and showdown and all of that. So you were really let down.
This one, it felt like they were trying to copy Rogue One.
In what way?
Well, they have a whole plan to get in, and they have to get something.
Standing around a table talking about it. Are you not a fan of Rogue One? Or?
No, I loved Rogue One.
Okay.
It was one of the better ones.
Okay, so is this not a negative statement? This is just a comment?
This is somewhat of a negative statement.
Okay.
Because it feels like they're trying to copy it, but it's just like every heist movie. Just trying to get something.
It's a heist movie. Go back to original, Attack on the Second Death Star and Jedi. standing around talking about what
Yep.
we're doing. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to have that planning. Poe, and they did it before Starkiller Base. So is it not so much a copy of Rogue One, but more about this is just the standard of Star Wars, maybe?
Yeah.
And are you tired of it? Is that what I'm sensing?
I mean, the big war room and then go do this awesome thing is, like, it's fun, but they do it every time.
Yeah, I hear
They did
what
it
you're
in
saying.
New Hope. They do it every time. Like, they did it in Rogue One at that table where they're all arguing about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
But I think almost
They do it all the time.
in any good war movie, though, you see them planning on a big battlefield map, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I guess, and I'm not crapping on your idea. I totally understand what you mean. You just kind of get tired of it and want something else. I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have a different way that you would show that? As opposed to, we're just going to improv this.
Well,
and
yeah, because
do we not even need to see them talking about it and
Well,
just go and watch them
there's always
enact
those
it?
cliches, though. Like, there's always the war room, or there's always the one guy who says he has a plan, but he really doesn't. Or they just talked about it, but you don't get to hear it, and they just do it, and you get surprised. Because that's more like a heist movie. They don't tell you what they're doing, and then they surprise you at the end. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't really
Or they
critique it.
leave out well, things rarely ever go exactly the way they want them to. And then it's just like, okay, so, at least we knew what the plan was, but then somebody had a trick up their sleeves. Like Danny Ocean all of a sudden shows up, at the end, and they're like, you didn't think I was going to sit this one out, did you? And help them up, that type of thing. I hear you. That makes sense.
Okay.
What do you think about the Reva Leia scenes throughout?
I think it's kind of weird. She's being such like a predator to the 10-year-old.
That seemed a little
So
strange.
creepy.
And that the path. Didn't she maybe just hear about it?
Yeah. Like, where are they? I mean, she knows where they are, but
Maybe it's
she
more
wouldn't
wishful thinking.
realistically.
Yeah. Okay, so Reva clearly hates the Jedi. And they were former Jedi, is what we heard a few episodes ago, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that, now we don't know anything about, we haven't seen episode 5, so maybe it's all established then, but do you think that Reva was, I don't know, in the temple on Order 66? Was she,
I don't
she
know why that
hates
would
the
make her hate
Jedi
the
so
Jedi.
much. That's the thing. Is it because of family? She wasn't protected? They didn't do a good enough job protecting
know.
her, pulling her away from the family? We had, was the last episode, I think Obi-Wan and Leia were talking about how Obi-Wan's family, he remembers little images of a brother and a parent, but he was taken away. Is she resentful of the Jedi from being taken away and then being hunted? And
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't think we're supposed to know necessarily, but this will make a lot more sense after we watch the next 2 episodes, I imagine, with regards to where does this hate, and specifically Kenobi. I think at this stage, she sees Kenobi as the stepping stone to Darth Vader's right hand.
Yeah.
So maybe it's nothing specifically about him. It's just
She's chasing the power.
chasing, and how can she leapfrog if fifth brother is next in line, like he says? Maybe this is a way that she can leapfrog and make herself indispensable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed, and we've seen Leia be smart. We saw her sneak Lola away from her mom while she was hugging her. We see her back talking her cousin, in that first episode and putting him in his place. And we see her here, being intimidated and scared. But then we find out she's not so intimidated and scared.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You don't know what? She should be intimidated and scared.
Yeah.
But it's Princess Leia, Princess of
She's all
Alderaan.
Okay.
Yes.
Why is she the princess? She literally said in this episode, "I'm the daughter of Senator P. Organa."
Yeah.
And the other lady. But
Okay, so we're going
they're
to
not
the
kings. They're not queens. They're not princes.
the ruling class of Alderaan.
They're senators.
Maybe he's the ruler.
So he's like the president.
Yeah, but
Or,
why would
like,
he
the
be
king
a
or
senator
something.
on Coruscant all the time then?
Don't know.
I don't know either.
She's not a princess.
Well, she's princess. She's such a cute little. Hey, princess.
Ew.
Every young little girl's a princess, or they want to be.
But she calls herself a princess.
Yeah,
That's kind of
Princess Leia, and they always do. That's a great question. Is that, dare I say, a plot hole to Star Wars?
weird. All right.
Right?
Put it on the board.
Put it on the board. We'll have to research that. Give that to our social media and let her figure it out.
Please.
Give her something to do. I did like I think there were 3 distinctive moments of interrogation by Reva, and she couldn't break Leia, and then finally Leia said something like, "Okay, I'll tell you, but first I need to tell my dad." But that's okay, right? Because we're on the same side.
Uh-huh.
And you see Reva, she reaches her hand out like, I'm going to grab you, pulls it back. Like, she was just outwitted by this 10-year-old. She goes, very clever, very smart. Let's see if those alligator tears are real. And so we see that Leia has truly, I'm not going to say been manipulating, but she's been able to resist the interrogation. Which, this takes us back to the original Star Wars movie. When she's in the Death Star, we don't see her tortured by, or even talked to by Vader. But Vader comes back in once and says that her resistance to the mind probe is, oh gosh, what was the word? It's not amazing.
Outstanding. Astounding.
Yeah, it was something, but it was something to the effect of like it's considerable, I think is what it was. Resistance to the mind probe is considerable, which we see there. Reva is trying to get into Leia's mind, and Leia goes, "Are we having a staring contest?" It's like, who is this kid? You know, I mean, this is amazing, and so I just think it helps to set up that legend status that Leia. You know, she was yes. She's the damsel in distress, but she was always much stronger of a female damsel than typical, archetypes in stories, right? She could fend for herself, even though she needed the boys to always come rescue her. And here she needed another boy to do that. But she's a kid. So what did you like? Did you enjoy this more than the last part? Okay. What was it about this that you enjoyed?
Well,
or stood out for you?
I liked the heist part of it. I just didn't like how they used the trope.
Okay.
I liked that it was like Camino, but not.
The water world? Yeah. What do you think about like the lighting? And we've been on here before, but like the Inquisitor, any submerged levels, it's just so
It's weird.
greenish color.
It looks like they forgot to turn on the green screen.
Huh.
Like, it's just green.
It is lit weird,
There's
but
no fish.
it's almost like they're doing natural lighting
I guess.
through the thing. Have you noticed that every room is just massive?
Yeah.
Why?
It's way too big.
Why?
Because, like, the hangar was so tall.
So much weight. Yes, we have to fly some things in, but
And then, like, the room they go in, it's, like, 300 feet tall.
yeah.
Like, what?
Well, it's a little extreme, but yeah.
No, it was.
It
looked it.
you know how that would be so hard to heat,
They
or to
don't
keep
heat
cool, or
They're fueled by their rage.
the fueled by the. That works for just those individuals,
Yeah.
but it just seems so massive. Like, okay, what about the torture room? A big,
That's
massive
so
room
unnecessary.
with one chair in the dead center. Now it looked cool, and then 2 stormtroopers after they tire down, they go, symmetrically to either side. But the lighting is cool, but then when the power went out, in the darkness, all of a sudden Obi-Wan is there in the darkness, flips on that blue saber, wipes out the dude, goes back into the darkness, gets behind there. And we talked about this, mainly I've talked about it, but the lightsabers are much different to me than they have been in the movies.
Yes.
Do they have a different aesthetically?
They're brighter.
There's always more residual light off the individual. The only time I remember that in the movies were the Battle of Geonosis. It's when Anakin is fighting Dooku, and he's holding one or two of the lightsabers at this point. I think Obi-Wan's unconscious. And he's going in and out of shadows against Dooku. And he like hits some power cord and it sparks. And you just see the light on his face. Here, it's just not the face. It's the whole body. And maybe it's that we've had, 3 seasons of Disney Plus Star Wars shows with little to no lightsabers. And
I think they just bumped up the brightness.
I really
to make it cooler.
I really liked him. And I think it's been a very dark show. Whether it's Dayu or Obi-Wan's fighting, Vader, and even in here, the darkness and light, I really enjoy the look of of the lighting. Okay, the one thing that gave me more questions than anything, so I need you to set me straight here. What was with the Obi-Wan's before he saves Leia? He goes through the tomb, the trophy room, the whatever. In the other shows, it was like cloning tubes. That ain't it. This reminded me of Independence Day at Area 51 when you see the aliens in their formaldehyde. But what was all this stuff?
I think I don't know. I think it's all the dead Jedi or whatever.
Are they all Jedi?
Yeah.
I did not recognize.
They've been doing this for 10 years.
I didn't recognize a single one.
There was the old guy, and then there was a Padawan.
The little Padawan at the end, because he had on the same hat that we saw in the first scenes, of Order 66, right? It's probably, we could match up the scenes, but it's probably one of those kids, a youngling. Yeah. One of those kids who, and we assume they're dead, but the very first guy looked more Jedi. The others just look like people to me. Maybe they're Force sensitives, and they're bringing, collecting. I don't know.
None of them had lightsaber holes or cuts.
I didn't look that close.
That one dude from Tatooine that was hung.
Yeah, was he in the tubes here?
I didn't
see. Is this the Inquisitor's collection? Because this isn't Vader's place, even though he does come there. But they say he's in Mustafar, and this planet Nur is a moon in the Mustafar system, so he's close. Okay. Anyway, I just found that interesting and disturbing.
What are they doing?
What are they doing?
Are they like in the Mandalorian where they're using the blood or whatever to do something?
Are they researching them? Trying to clone them? Or is it just simply a sick? We've hunted you, and we just mounted you on the wall.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure? I don't know if there is an answer at this particular point. But I just found that really interesting. There was a cool scene in the escape down in the water tunnel where the glass is breaking. Obi-Wan has quickly started to pick it up, harness it a bit. There was a little moment earlier where he had to distract 2 stormtroopers with a noise, just like he does in the Death Star, to get them to look away so he could escape. He does a little flick, something. But forcing the water back and all of that plexiglass or glass that's cracked and splintered, he's holding that stuff in place like it's a puzzle still, even though it's being pushed by the water.
It looked cool, don't question it.
It was really cool, and then he was able to push the water towards the troopers, and get away. But that was a neat moment, and it reminded me of, if you recall, the Bad Batch when the Camino was being bombarded by Tarkin and blown up, obliterated Camino, Tipoca City. There's a lot of the underwater tunnels, and it was very, very similar to that. What do you think about Tala in this episode? A little bit more character defining. Why don't you talk about her a bit? What do you think?
What do you mean, what do I think?
What do you think about her? What do you think about her contributions?
She's helping.
Do you like her?
She's okay.
Yeah?
I guess it's been 2 episodes. We haven't had 2 seasons of The Mandalorian where we get to know them. But Like a lot of the characters in the show specifically, I don't care if they live or die. She could die and I wouldn't care.
Fair. You're referring to just the other people on Jabim that we just met, right?
Sure.
Right, Wade and
Even Tala. I don't care
and
if she
Tala.
dies. Like, whatever.
Okay. I do like how she appeared, she agrees to help him get in. Well, he asked her, is your cover intact? She goes, well, we'll find out soon. So, I mean, she's a very courageous individual. And then even the big confrontation with her and Reva, she goes, confess you're a spy. She goes, I am. I've had to be a spy in order to survive, but they'd have killed me. And, she was really quick on her feet. I did not look at her as being a negative contributor to the story as an actor or whatever. I think
she's doing fine. She's good.
Yeah, I've enjoyed her, and again, I said I've enjoyed her from her Game of Thrones arc, but this is a much different character, and so I've enjoyed her. We were debating last episode whether she was a one and done, just like Kumail Nanjiani was, early on. But I did like her. I did like. Yeah, I've talked about this before, so I apologize. I won't go into it big time, but I really enjoy seeing women as big contributors and main focus of dialogue and plot arc in Star Wars. We didn't have that before. They tried to rectify with Padme a little bit, gave her a little bit more to do, so she wasn't always the damsel. She was like the supposed Leia 2.0. But it really took till these sequel movies and even with Jen Erso in Rogue One, women have been the main characters, and so that's been going a long way. And now we have, non-Caucasians in strong, heavy screen time roles. And so I think Star Wars is doing what should have been done a long time ago. And so I'm glad that it's looking different. It's sounding different than what Star Wars had been for the last 40 years, 40 plus. So, Vader. Let's talk about the end. Vader comes charging in, doesn't even let Reva say anything, and he gets her in a force choke, and he's going to end her. Because what did I say? You fail me, you die. Right? That type of thing. Okay. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And so what do you think about how she got out of this? Because she didn't clearly want them to escape. She was going to kill them there.
It was like a last-second plan. But when did she plant the tracker? Did she do it well, like...
When Leia was getting tortured?
Well, Leia had it while she was getting tortured.
Well, remember, Leia had her under the table, and Reva pulled her out with the Force. She goes, ooh, so she goes, I had one of these when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. So she probably just got it at some point between then. But... I think it was really smart on her part to think that a contingency plan should something go wrong. But she's going to die, and she goes, I let him go. And you see Vader just take a beat, like, what? And so, like, he had to hear more. So he let her down, and she goes wherever our prey goes, Kenobi. This will go with it, right? Yeah. And so we know... in the story, she's referencing Leia is going with it, but Vader didn't care about Leia. He cares about Kenobi. But we know that it's Leia's the one who's taken off, and it's Lola.
Aren't they going to talk?
Who's they?
Leia and Vader. Are they going to meet each other?
Well, if they do, it's not going to be as your father or son. It's going to be as similar to when the first time they ever meet in Star Wars in Tantive 4, right after the events of Rogue One. He might be introduced to her just as, this is Leia Organa of Alderaan, Senator Bale's daughter.
Wouldn't he know, though, that it's his daughter?
He didn't know Luke was his son.
Well,
not that he met him in the first movie. It has to happen during the, the literature or whatever, the stories that happen between that and Empire. And then the Emperor tells him, I believe that the Jedi who blew up the Death Star is the son of Anakin Skywalker. How is this possible? Search your feelings, Lord Vader. You'll know it to be true. That type of thing. So, he's not told that in the first movie. And it's, at some point in the comics, he sends Boba Fett out to find Luke and things like that. I think it'd be kind of cool if they have a passing or a little introduction. I just don't know. They just escaped, so this next episode 5 is they're going to track him down or attempt to track him down. So does that set up in 6 just one final confrontation?
I don't know.
And we only have maybe, these are like shortish episodes, so we only got maybe, let's just say 80 minutes left. Is that fair? Ish. And so we need to have some climactic moment right at the end of this next episode or right at the start of the last so that we can, because again, I think it was shot to be done after 6 with the option to be more, but I don't think there's going to be a cliffhanger.
No.
I don't think there should be a cliffhanger. This should be a self-contained story in 6 episodes, which ultimately is like 2 movies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A 3-hour movie, so maybe a movie and a half. You know, that type of thing. But I'm really intrigued to see where it goes. So, gosh, we didn't go shot for shot through this or anything. Was there anything else you said you didn't care about Wade or
No.
what about Roken? That's Ice Cube's son.
Yeah. He had some exposition at the beginning, which makes me think he'll be an important character.
Yeah.
But
Because otherwise, we don't really need it.
yeah.
Did you find that particular? I don't know. I found that one a little weird.
Yeah. Like,
Why did you think it was weird?
I just felt like it was unnecessary to just like all of a sudden he springs into a story about this and he's like, oh, you shouldn't do it. Then like and he's like, okay, now you need my help, whatever.
Right. He's like,
No, I won't do it. Here's the story. Yeah, I'll do it.
that
Whatever.
did not make sense to me.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Because Kenobi was trying to, they need to go rescue a little girl. And then,
I had a wife once. She
well,
was
but
Jedi.
to
Well,
lead
now
it,
I'll do it.
yeah, right. But Obi-Wan said something like, you have no idea what you're doing, or you have no idea what it's like. And the guy goes, oh, I know what it's like. I had a wife. She was a Force sensitive. And then the Inquisitors came, and they took her, and...
I'll help.
Okay, I'll help you.
Yeah.
Wait.
It was so weird.
I'm not going to say it's bad acting. I think it's just
It was
more
okay.
the
It was-
story
it was-
slash writing. It was just...
Like, why even make him say no? Just
Right.
make him say yes, and he tells the story on the way or whatever.
I like that. So what made you want to do this? Well, I had a wife that she blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I didn't see as an actor, I didn't see the beat. I didn't see the change
It
in...
was just kind of.
Okay, I'll do it. There wasn't a pause, think. You know what? I don't want that to happen to somebody else again. Okay, I'll do it. You know, that type of thing. So, I don't know. That was kind of strange. But for Leia's purpose, it was pretty much all about her interrogation. It was a Princess Leia and Reva show with Obi-Wan really kind of smuggling himself in. He was kind of the Cad Bane trying to steal the holocron. You know, breaking into an impenetrable, even though this didn't have shields. So it wasn't so impenetrable because no one would be crazy enough to come in there, right?
Yes.
But, yeah. Any last thoughts on this one?
You know what I'm gonna say.
Okay, then let me beat you to it. A thing that I did enjoy about the very end after Reva said she let them go, this is the same trick that he places on the Millennium Falcon in A New Hope.
Yep.
And so he learned that trick from Reva. You know, Tarkin goes after they escape so that they can track them back to Yavin and then blow them up. You know, are you sure the homing beacon is secured? We're taking a terrible risk here, Lord Vader. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And so it's really it's one of those plan for the worst, hope for the best, right? And so plan for the worst is that they escape, and then if we don't need it, great. But then both times they've needed it. So.
That's not what I was gonna say. I was gonna say there's no Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go Chris O'Donnell. I just didn't want to say that. Yes. I think that's about it. Really great moment there at the end. You know, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ben to Leia, even though she knows who he is now. Just the sweetest moment right before Lola activates herself. Leia reaches over, grabs his hand, and they hold hands, and he just uses his thumb, just rubs her hand.
Mm-hmm.
My protector. You came.
Daddy.
They said you were dead. They said you were burned and left. You came. And so her whole ideology about rebels and this path that she just discovered, this can be the birth of her rebellion. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Over the next 9 years, this could have. They came for me. I can't give up on them. And yeah, for somebody who didn't want to go to rescue her and leave his cave on Tatooine,
yeah, right.
He really went all out to bring her home. So, good. I think I got all my comments. Anything you want? Yeah? Okay. So we're going to wrap this one up so that we can go watch episode 5 here momentarily and get working on that podcast so that we can get back on track here. So thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions for us concerning anything about Obi-Wan,